guys, I am redoing a video that I've done before on recycling Christmas cards. In this case, I call it upcycling because you can recycle a Christmas card just by using the front of the card and creating a new card. So this time though, I'm going to make it look like a little book. I had bought a Christmas ornament once that looked like a little book, and it inspired me to reuse my Christmas cards and upcycle them into ornaments. So basically, you want to decide how big you want your ornament, and that's how much you're going to trim down your card. You can do it two ways. You can trim all four sides down if you want, but in this case, I'm going to use the back of the existing card as the back of my book. So I'm not trimming the fold part. So now that I've cut the three sides, what I'm doing here to make it look even on the front of the book, that's going to be my fold line. So I grab the back of a pair of scissors and I run that down the ruler just to make a crease line. The back of the scissors, was dull, so they're not going to cut through the card, but they make it easy to fold it and keep it straight. And then once I get that one, you just decide how thick you want your book to be, and you want to do the same thing. You want to put a second crease in. Now, of course, once you do this, suddenly the back of the card is much longer than it needs to be, or much wider than it needs to be, because you've made a spine where there wasn't a fold before. So you'll just want to trim that down. And I made a mistake the first time, and I have it laying flat, and I trim off that little piece, and then whenever I opened up the spine, it was still too long. So what I did was I made sure the top and the bottom are laying even, and then draw my cut line and just trim that right off. And now we have it nice and even. Now to make the inside of the book or the pages, you can use anything. I have had a piece of old foam core board from the Dollar Tree, so I decided to grab it and cut a couple of pieces of that. But now, if you don't have that, you could use the flaps from a box, like an Amazon box or a Walmart box. Just cut a couple of those flaps off and trim it down and glue them together for the thickness that you need. For me, with this Dollar Tree foam core, it wasn't quite thick enough with just one. That's why after I cut out the first one, I used it to trace a second one and went ahead and sandwiched them together. Using the knife to cut that made it a little bit jaggedy, so I just used my scissors and cleaned that up a little bit. And don't worry too much about that either, because it's going to be covered. You can use ribbon to cover it. If it's one piece, you can even use paint and just paint it. But otherwise, when it's two pieces, I found it looks better to cover it. So I actually had some washi tape that I used. But yeah, just a little bit of Aleene's glue there to glue those together. I would recommend just using hot glue. The Aleene's was taking a bit to dry, so you'll see me at one point switch over to hot glue. Now I thought I would be able to use a paint pen to cover that writing, because I like my pages to be a little bit smaller than the book front and back and binding. So when I cut the foam core, I trimmed it a little smaller, so that meant this stuff would show on the edges. And I thought a paint pen would work, but it was still just too translucent for that ink. So I ended up grabbing this same washi tape that I was going to use for the pages, and I covered, you could go all the way around it, but I really didn't see any reason to do the back part. I just wanted to cover that part in the front, or that's actually the back. So when it's hanging on the tree, this part I knew would show, the front won't, because you're looking at the front of the card. So, it's okay if you want to run the washi tape all the way around, but it's not necessary. So I just did the 3 sides. I did take it all the way into the binding though. And on the pages there that I'm holding in my hand, um, I did start on the binding side, but I only did a little, just in case you could see down inside. But I didn't do all the way around all 4 sides. The binding part was going to be stuck against the binding of the book, and so I just wanted a little bit there in case, maybe you could see a little bit down in there. So you'll see me stop there. Now, I will say the washi tape did not want to stick on its own against that foam core, and so I did end up having to use glue on that part. There I am, just kind of making sure everything fits in there nicely, and it does. So next you'll want to use some kind of string, whether it is gold thread like you'll see me use, or you could use fishing line, you could use yarn, anything to make a hanger. You could even use one of the silver wire hangers and just attach it. But I did use hot glue for that. And then once it's in there, you just want to hold it for a few seconds to make sure it sets up. And then you want to add the glue to one side. And really, it wanted to start drying on me. So what I would recommend is glue the spine in the book first. And then just fold over one side at a time and glue them on. And this really is the last step. Once you get the front and the back glued down against your little book, it's done. And they look really cute hanging on a tree. So I'll be sure to include a photo of one on the tree.